Morning, everybody. Big, important day today. The report is in right now. Senators looking over the FBI's seventh assessment of Brett Kavanaugh. And according to a White House source, the Bureau found nothing to support or corroborate the allegations of sexual assault. I'm Bill Hemmer. Big morning here, and welcome to America's Newsroom.
Good morning to you, Bill. I'm Sandra Smith. Members of the Senate Judiciary Committee are now taking turns reviewing that report. There is only one copy, and we're being told it will not be made public. This as Majority Leader Mitch McConnell gets the ball rolling on a vote.
This information comes on top of what was already been one of the most thorough and most exhaustive Senate reviews of any Supreme Court nominee in the entire history of our country. There'll be plenty of time for members to review and be briefed on the supplemental material before a Friday cloture vote.
Meanwhile, White House spokesman Raj Shah saying, quote, with this additional information, the White House is fully confident the Senate will vote to confirm Judge Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court.
For more on all this now, Matt Schlapp's the chairman of the American Conservative Union. How you doing, sir? And good morning to you.
Good to be with you, Bill.
It appears the senators face the exact same question today or tomorrow as they did a week ago, does it not?
Exactly right, Bill. All this supplemental investigation does is ask similar questions of people. What do you know about Brett Kavanaugh that would be problematic with his service on the Supreme Court? They give answers. In this case, because Mitch McConnell and Chuck Grassley want to really put all of this down the right path, is they're going to let every senator read every word.
Okay. Nancy Pelosi was at an event just yesterday. I just want to roll this clip here. We're going to get reaction to Pelosi and then McConnell, and then what is to be expected in Washington, D.C. starting later today. First, Pelosi, watch.
I guess there's a similarity that people have with the people that they respect. Crazy about Putin, in love with Kim Jong-un, thinks Kavanaugh is a great, upstanding person. Well, you know what? He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Matt?
That's the resistance, Bill. It's make fun of Trump. It's mock him. It's do everything to stop him. Brett Kavanaugh's become a proxy battle in that resistance movement. And it's a shame because what's happening out there in the country, Bill, is that we are divided, blue and red, and we're getting more divided. And what's happening in this, as we go to this midterm election, is the red side is getting very fired up over what they see as a disgusting, revolting process in the Senate.
Okay, here is Mitch McConnell late last night on intimidation factors.
But I want to make it clear to these people who are chasing my members around the hall here, or harassing them at the airports, or going to their homes, will not be intimidated by these people. There is no chance in the world they're going to scare us out of doing our duty.
So we have been getting reports that the Capitol is tense. This was the report on CNN at 6:20 this morning. A group of protesters on board a bus in New Jersey bound for your town. Watch.
This is one of several buses of protesters heading down from New York City and various cities down to Washington, D.C. to protest the confirmation of Kavanaugh. The idea is to rally outside the courthouse where Judge Kavanaugh currently sits and then march to the one where he is hoping to ascend, the Supreme Court. Of course, they're going to do everything they can to keep that from happening.
So I've seen reporters report on buses arriving and people getting off the bus, but never physically on the bus. What do you expect in our nation's capital as we reach the most critical point here, Matt?
Yeah, look, this is an epic vote. There's no question, Bill. And I'm glad that the American people care about this and are getting engaged on both sides. I am not pleased that there is a paid movement on the left to try to disrupt the process and intimidate senators. I think that goes too far. You know what I think is great? A lot of people who know Brett Kavanaugh and Ashley Kavanaugh went to school with Brett. They're not there in the same numbers, but they're up there and they know him and they're saying, look, we know this is a good man, and all the paid protesters in the world shouldn't keep the Republican senators. Remember, it only takes Republican senators to get this done. It shouldn't keep Republican senators from doing what they've told voters they would do for 50 years, and that's put people on the Supreme Court who will simply interpret the words of the Constitution. If the Republican Party can't get this right, Bill, I am not sure we can keep this all together. The stakes are very high, and for those three individual senators, they know they're signing their political death warrant if they vote against Brett Kavanaugh because they have promised that they would do the very thing of confirming people like this.
Do you dare make a prediction? What happens Kavanaugh?
Oh, boy, I can't. It's hard to predict in this. It's gone here and there and everywhere. I will tell you this. All I know is Donald Trump won half of Maine. So for Susan Collins, it is a very stupid political thing to take this fight on. For Lisa Murkowski, she lost her last primary in Alaska. She will lose it again if she votes wrong on this issue. I believe in the end they're going to do the right thing, and I think these Democrats like Joe Manchin and Heidi Heitkamp and these other Democrats, if they don't vote for Brett Kavanaugh, it's the end of their Senate careers. So I actually think at the end of this, it's going to move towards Judge Kavanaugh's way, and I'm very hopeful he's going to get confirmed.
Matt Slapp, thank you for your analysis. We'll see whether or not you're right in the end. Thank you for that. Almost 12 past the hour. Jason Chaffetz, former U.S. Congressman, Fox News contributor. How you doing? Good morning to you. Meanwhile, what is a SCIF? What is this place in the U.S. Capitol where these senators can now go and look at the FBI report? You've been there. Describe it.
Yeah, it's a bunker. If you were smack dab in the middle of the Capitol, think of the dome, and you went down 3 or 4 floors, then there is literally a fortress. It's impenetrable to electronic surveillance. When you walk in, you, even as a senator or a member of the House of Representatives, you have to give up all of your electronics. You can't go in there with your iWatch. You can't go in there with your iPhone or whatever phone you might have. It put into a small room. They watch you. It'll be interesting to see if these senators are allowed to take notes. Sometimes you can and sometimes you don't. And usually they have somebody sitting there watching you read the material.
Interesting. So no pictures. So it's all extemporaneous if the leaks get out.
Supposedly, but yes. Yeah.
I expect to get leaks. I would imagine you would too. It's Washington, D.C. after all.
Yeah, I mean, people can read this information. It isn't necessarily classified because they're not talking about national security secrets, what has been, sources and methods. I'm sure senators will start to come out of there because they're only allowed one at a time in alternating fashion to go and read it. And I'm sure people come out and give their own take. And of course, the Democrats already have their talking point saying, well, it wasn't thorough enough. We need more time, more interviews. But that's not what the Senate set up.
I know you've kept in touch with your colleagues there in Washington, House side and Senate side. And I think about last Friday when, the record scratched in the afternoon and Senator Jeff Flake said, hang on, let's go ahead and give it another week. What's the harm? Here was that moment from last Friday.
I can only say that I would be only comfortable moving forward on the floor. I'll move it out of committee, but I will only be comfortable moving on the floor until the FBI has done more investigation than they have already.
Remember in that key line, he said up to a week. Tomorrow's 1 week. What does Flake do? What do the others do? Does Kavanaugh get confirmed?
Well, I was encouraged that Jeff Flake voted it out of committee, and I would anticipate that he would vote in favor of cloture, which is the important vote where they got to get past that 50-vote threshold. And part of the excuse here for the extra week was that it's tearing the committee and it's tearing the country apart. And that's why we need more time. And I would argue that had the exact opposite effect. It's creating more division in our country. Instead of the Senate doing its job and making a definitive decision, it's their job to do advice and consent, not to throw it back to the executive branch saying, hey, give us some more input after 6 FBI investigations. It's almost as if they need a little civics lesson. It's their job. And Ms. Ford was given every opportunity to say everything she possibly could say. So now it's time to vote.
It's almost crunch time, as you say there. Jason Chaffetz, thank you, sir, for coming back today. Thanks.
We've got to do a better job of getting across that America is freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion,